Thanks for the
All
one.
right, so this is the second class of coaching, ministry coaching. And today we're gonna work through the first few pages of the document, and I'll probably show some videos too, if they come up. Katie, how are you, girl?
Doing well. How are you?
Pretty groovy.
Amen.
All right, so I'm gonna pull up a document, and I think I'm gonna page through this. So this is coaching for ministry mentors and ministry leaders. And a couple of people will get a double dip because this is the same training we use for the House of Hope and the branches for training mentors. And it includes listening skills and a coaching sequence, just some practical ways to help people and use active listening and some skills. So this one is more of a skill training for the next few weeks, and not so much a Bible study, but some practical skills. Now, how far did we get down in this document, or did we cover that?
We had read through the mentor coaching, and then if we go down further, yeah, we hadn't talked about that. Yeah, we talked about skills used. I think that was about where we ended up.
Okay,
I think
so let's pick up there, and then we'll get into some videos. And I think we were going to do some modeling of skills, but I think instead I'll show some videos that model those skills. And we'll probably do all the skill, one-on-one skill stuff at the end of the content. And so we'll kind of review it while we practice the one-on-one skills. So listening skills for mentors. And this document can be found on pastormikethompson.org at the second ADP button. It's called Ministry Coaching.
okay, so I'm just so I can look at it instead of having to turn around. So it's on this, it's the ADP and the leadership. What tab is it under, Mike?
Coaching. Right there.
Coaching course?
Yeah. So let's go through this list a little bit. Yep, you got it. So why listen? I remember several times in ministry settings, especially young in ministry and young to everything, and not very wise. I would listen for about 20 seconds and then I'd rush in with a quick fix. And oftentimes I realized that I had no idea what their issue was even that they were dealing with. So I was quick to speak and slow to listen. And that's the opposite of, I think, what the verse tells us to be. So the primary tool for coaching other people is our relationship to the person being coached. If you see PBC, it's person being coached. And listening skills are a great tool for relationship building. And coaching is primarily not about transmitting information. So it's really light on information. So you're listening to someone, you're understanding where they're coming from. And then if they, remember we did the triage thing last week? If they need information and you're clear about that, you can ask them, are you looking just for information or understanding and involvement? Or you just want to blow off some steam or something else? Once you just, if they're looking for information, well, now's the time to just flap your gums and let her fly. Give the information, that would be helpful. But coaching is not primarily about transmitting information. Coaching is about helping the person being coached discover what God is already teaching them and providing them encouragement and graceful accountability. So we have to assume that God is going to speak into the conscience of the person that you're coaching. And of course, for a solution-oriented person like me, I have to remind myself of that. I could just break out a teaching on this, but maybe they'll own it better if they discover the information themselves. And then listening skills are a great tool for accurately addressing the right things. They may have 2 or 3 issues going on, and as they start sharing, something about a relationship might come up 4 times. And then my car broke down and my job, but yeah, my relationship. And they might keep bringing up the relationship. And then okay, ask more questions about the relationship. Is that what you would like to focus on today? So summarizing and paraphrasing, in every conversation, there's 2 elements: content, that's what the person's talking about, and feelings. And if you miss either one of those, you're not going to be as effective at helping people. If you just take the content, then you're like a computer trying to generate a solution and not connecting with the person. And we're emotional human beings. If you make a connection with someone, you'll trust what they're saying if you tell they care about you. And then if we're all feelings and just dive into their feelings but don't help them work things out, that's the state of half the nation or more, where it's all feelings and all pats on the back and hugs and no kicks in the back of the pants or encouraging them to find a solution or have accountability. So after you listen to the person being coached for a while, you summarize the content and feelings back to the person being coached. And that summary is called paraphrasing. And that gives a person being coached an opportunity to solve their problems and discover what they already know. Coach is not the answer guy. So the most difficult part of listening and coaching is leaving out your opinions. Usually if I'm in a conversation, I've done enough studying that I probably have an answer stacked up in my memory bank somewhere, and I can't wait to provide that, But the hardest part is leaving that out and waiting to see if they can discover that or if that's what they want. So the first goal is accurately understanding the person and helping them understand God's will. Yeah.
Isn't it wise a lot of times when you're trying to counsel somebody to rephrase their own statement back to them in a different scenario? I mean, say instead of talking to you, I would say you. Well, is he really saying da da da? That so you rephrase the same statement because someone else, and then that's gonna get a reaction one way, positive or negative.
In a group of people that would work. This is meant for one-on-one, but it's the same principle where you're paraphrasing back. I'm hearing you say such and so. Yeah, you're right on. Boy, you've learned some things.
Well, I've been a counselor too.
There you go. So
I have studied college course on counseling.
Oh, good.
That was how I was able to do marriage counseling, which did not work out very well by the way.
That's hard when they come in scrapping.
Oh, yeah, well, it was my cousin and his wife and that's it. Related.
All right.
Yes.
So I want to talk about attending skills a little bit, and then we'll watch some videos. So attending skills. So another skill related to listening is attending, and attending is showing a person with your body language that you're listening. This is important, especially today when we have cell phones and it's easy to bury our face in them when we're supposed to be having a conversation and it's going up the side of our face, So, and I wasn't talking to you, Ryan. And yeah, definitely. So here's some basics for attending skills. And number one, keep at least as much eye contact as the speaker. try to copy the body language of the speaker. And then look interested, and if you're not interested, fake it and pray for help. So let's talk about copying eye language. Some people stare at you and they don't quit looking away from you. And it's like they're staring right through your prefrontal cortex into your brain or something. And that can be intimidating, and so no, I mean, in a teaching scenario, yeah, you're going to be looking at the person speaking, but normally you keep as much eye contact as the person that you're speaking to. So if they look away every 3 or 4 seconds, you could do the same, but then come back. And if they're leaning in, you lean in. Sometimes if it cross your, their legs or something like that, you could do the same. And it may sound goofy, but if you're really connecting with person, this is what I noticed as a professional counselor, is that in almost every setting, when I was really getting to the heart of the issue and connecting with them, I just noticed our body language was exactly the same. Yeah, and it just happens by itself. There's a term for it, and it doesn't matter. It's not on the test or anything, but you'll know you're connecting with someone if the same body language is happening in that session. So I'm going to pull up another document, and these are my notes because I have a few more things on my notes. Okay, and that is teaching notes. Okay. All right. And there's going to be some videos in here. So I have some more things about body language here. And so mirror in general, the body language of the person that you're coaching. And sometimes if they're closed off, sometimes you could be closed off, but then lean forward and open up to them. And in a few minutes, they'll usually open up to you unless you're trying to give them unwanted information or whatnot. And then I mentioned here, matching eye contact, lean forward a little bit, look interested. Usually keeping your feet on the floor and hands uncrossed is helpful, like in your lap, but leaning forward a little bit, like, you lean forward when you're really into it, and you're really conversing. You don't realize that, but it's automatic. That's a sign.
How about rubbing the chin?
Yep. That's a pickup line in body language. No, just kidding.
What do you mean?
I'm just kidding.
Oh.
And then look interested, and hopefully by God's grace, you'll be interested. And don't glance around or multitask. And then sometimes I will need to take notes. So if someone's coming back several times, I want to take notes, but I ask permission. Hey, can I take a few notes? And then I'll just write 1 or 2 words that will prompt my memory later when I make case notes for the next time we meet. And then when we get to setting a goal at the end of this process, well, then I'll write it as we're talking it out, because they understand it's a goal and keeping track, and that's helpful. And so you ask permission from the person being coached, and then take notes as infrequently. Just write a keyword or 2 that'll remind you, and then you can, after they leave, you can write it out a little bit more. So that's a little bit about body language. I'm going to show some videos that are related to this course, and I found some that are actually pretty good. Well, let's see if this plays well. Hopefully that comes through.
This video is a short.
Is that coming through for you, Katie or Sharon?
No.
Okay.
Mine is.
Okay.
Oh, yours is. Okay.
The volume or the picture?
The picture.
I see page 1 through
Thought you were
18 teaching.
I thought you were talking about the volume, sorry.
So the micro skill of attending, and do you see that?
I don't know, because I'm driving.
I see mirroring.
Videos of mirroring.
Okay, so I'm gonna have to figure out some magic to do this here. We'll reduce that. Reduce that. And then I'll pull it up. It just takes an extra step. That's one of the helpful things, is to make sure that you let me know if it's come through. Now it'll come through for sure. All right,
Yes.
there we are. Bada bing, bada boom, bada bing, and here we go.
Simulated counseling session demonstrating the basic communication skills of attending behavior, paraphrasing, and summarizing.
Yeah, I guess I have to figure out things for myself and for my parents who need my help a lot. You have a lot to manage right now. Yeah, I have to learn and improve my English for school and to meet kids my age and to translate for my parents because they don't really speak English yet. It sounds like you have a lot of responsibilities, and not just for yourself, but for your parents as well. Yeah, and I shouldn't really complain because I come here to Canada 1 year already, and I don't have any friends, and I don't go anywhere. I just go to school and home. Sounds like you had hoped for things to be different in your first year here. You'd really like the opportunity to meet more people and also to explore Canada. Yeah. And my teacher just told me I'm failing 2 classes. So on top of the really tough year, you're also now finding out that you're not passing some of your schoolwork. Yeah. Just so I make sure I'm following, you and your parents came to Canada 1 year ago, and since then you've been in school, you've been learning English, and then you've also been interpreting for your parents. You haven't really had the chance to do a lot of the things you'd hoped you'd get to do in your first year. And you're also just finding out now that you're failing two of your courses. Is that correct? Yeah. And if I,
So that was a really good example of summarizing. So occasionally, to show the person that you're listening, you summarize several things. So you really got to be on your game and be drinking some coffee before you go into a session to make sure you're sharp. And that's where 1 or 2 keywords might help if you're not good at keeping track of that. But you notice every little tidbit, he mirrored back what he said.
Mhm.
And then the guys answered, yeah. So if they say yeah or yep or something like that, then you know you're tracking with them. If not, they'll correct you. And so it's an opportunity to correct your understanding.
parents find out I'm failing classes, they will make me study even more. And then I will have no time to spend with the kids at school. So you'd like the opportunity to meet people and have more fun and not spend more of your time having to do schoolwork. Yeah. And it's just my parents and me at home. But my parents, they just don't want to let go of things we did back home. But we don't live there anymore. The picture I'm getting is your parents are really trying to keep your traditions alive, and you'd actually like the opportunity to learn more about Canadian ways of life. Is that right? Yeah. You know, I love my parents, but they just don't understand that it's different from me.
What I'm hearing is that you're more interested in learning about Canadian ways of life and meeting new people than your parents are, maybe.
Yeah, and with everything happening right now, I I just don't know where to start.
So let's just take a moment to recap. I'm hearing that you'd like to have the opportunity to meet more people, and you're also trying to balance your traditional ways with learning more about Canadian culture. As well, you're worried about how your parents may respond when they find out you failed two courses and that they might actually make you study more.
Yeah, and my parents, they don't understand that I can't do schoolwork, not because I'm not trying, but because my problems understanding English.
So it took all that to understand the real issue. He's behind in school because his English isn't good. Did you catch that? So that goes to the heart of it. So if you're coaching that person, then you would clue in on that. That's the heart of everything. It came from him, but then I might go say, is that something you'd like to focus on today? And right there, I would break. Now, this is more of a counseling session, but if I were coaching, I would say, would you want to explore your challenges with English? And if he does, because that's what's put him behind, then you go into the double funnel model. What are some things you've tried? What are some things that have been useful? What are some things you've heard about? Who could you talk to? Open-ended questions to just kind of brainstorm what are some possible solutions. And so the top funnel is all the stuff they're talking about. Narrowing it down is picking one thing, learning English. And then the next funnel is exploring some things. Who is a person you could talk to? Do you have a teacher after school programs?
For resolution.
Right. Tell me about some of the things that have come to mind for how to move forward and get better English skills. And then you narrow it down to a SMART goal. Okay, so what's one thing you'd like to try before the next time we meet? Is there someone you would want to contact before next week's meeting? Does that make sense? So you just keep funneling it down and then turn it into a SMART goal, which we'll spend a whole week on SMART goals.
I felt like he paraphrased too much.
Yeah,
I kind of thought the same.
it can seem that way. The one that decides that is the person being coached. And so I think he's using a form of counseling that is designed to do that. It's slow moving, it paraphrases a lot, but you're actually holding space for the person you're coaching to let them grab a hold of ideas. And so it might be a lot of paraphrasing, but that's actually intentional. That's a method of coaching. That's Rogerian coaching.
So basically
Or
what
counseling.
he, in a sense, what he's doing is by him paraphrasing everything as much as he is, he, instead of that awkward silence or the person he's coaching feeling like, oh, there's nothing being said, I should say something.
Mhm.
He's speaking so their mind can come up with other.
Yeah. And then the person being counseled, when they hear it back and they keep hearing English classes, that'll jump to the front of their mind. And pretty soon he's going to start talking about that. And so from hearing it back, his mind gets locked in. Oh yeah, that is an issue. Yeah, English, what could I do? So anyway, I'll let it play out, but I'm really glad you mentioned that. It can be a little obnoxious, but it's a style of coaching or counseling, actually.
So in a sense, it's subliminal messaging.
Yes, it sort of is, but you're actually taking the other person's words
Yeah.
And then you have to if there's something that's urgent and keeps coming up, you repeat that back to them and ignore stuff that seems to be a sidetrack. And so there's a way you can select what you repeat back to them, but you don't want to get too manipulative.
The
But it
main
can-
focus.
Yeah, but it can be done.
The main focus is all.
Yeah.
Only more English should be passing.
I think so. And I really, really want to pass because going to university is one of the reasons why we come here.
Wow, so you've got some big plans for the future, including going to university.
Yeah. But it looks like it's so far away, especially if my English don't improve.
So learning English is really a priority for you.
You see how he came around to that? English is a
Yeah.
priority for you. And this is a counseling way of doing it. But it's really that's something you could do as a coach too, when you're in that listening phase. And then coaching goes into action. They would actually just stay in this counseling mode as a counselor. And then they would trust that the person being counseled would go take some action on their own. And they might set some goals, or it depends on the counselor. Coaching is intentionally setting goals.
And some, there's some action steps.
Yeah.
Letting them commit to it before the next session.
Exactly.
But I think my parents probably don't want to pay for it because they just don't understand how hard it is. And right now with everything going on, I just can't get a job to pay for it.
Okay, so a program that will cost money to learn English really wouldn't be work for you or your parents at this time.
Yeah. And my teacher, when she told me to come see a counselor, she said there might be some help for my English with my homework that I can get here. Is there any help with homework that I can get?
Okay, you notice what changed there?
He's now looking for information.
Asking for information. Okay, so now you're switching into a mode of listening to thinking of how you can give information. And so that's pretty significant. If a person missed that and just kept listening to them, nothing would get done. You're not really mentoring someone if there isn't action. Then you're just spinning your wheels and complaining and that kind of thing. So this is an excellent example that even though this is counseling, school counseling, it would work really well in coaching too, because now you've got the main issue. So yeah, so it sounds like that's something you want to explore, helping your listening skills. I've got some resources. Let's talk about what that might look like for you.
Would I be the only person from my home country here? My parents would like it if I'm not.
What I'm getting is it would actually be really helpful for you to be learning English alongside other people from your home community. Is that right?
Yeah, my parents would like that, and me too.
So it would be a win-win for both of you.
Okay, so even that extra little tidbit helps. So then as coaching, well, how could we connect with other people that are wanting to learn English from your community? Who do you know that is interested also? What might be the next step we could take to connect or start the ball rolling? And I'm still using open-ended questions, but it's not too hard to figure out that kind of thing here. Was that helpful? A good example. All right. So any takeaways from that?
I have a couple thoughts. Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, I'm kind of in a sketchy area, but so for my work we have like an acronym. It's old cards, and where you ask people like when they come in with something, anything going on, like the onset, when did it start, location, how long has it been going on for, characteristics, other symptoms, things that help, things that don't help, you know, what you've done. And basically they just walked through that whole thing. And I think the hardest thing is to just shut up and let them talk. Otherwise, if you don't jump to conclusions too quickly, then you miss out. Like, you know, he actually came out with some really good information towards the end of the conversation that you miss if you try to jump in too quickly.
I think you're right. I think in any um, um, type of industry or you know, setting, even the medical setting, you have decision trees and rule out charts. And if you take your pre-conclusions into the session and you just saw 5 people who had COVID last week, and then someone comes in sneezing and you just assume it's COVID, you know, that's easy to do. And I think it happens where there's this quick decision to go down the same decision tree and start, you know, thinking about it, and then you lose some time. And goodness. And so,
and even emotionally deciding what people want or what they're going to do or what they've already tried and what their goals are, and you know, everything's so individual.
Yeah, that's really true. I think if my doctor took my my A1C and it was 7, they might start pushing metformin, but they don't realize I've lost 150 pounds and my A1C used to be like 9. So, you know, I'm just at the edge where I'm actually heading the right direction. But if they didn't take the time to understand that, and then of course, you know, you have 20-minute slots or 15-minute slots to see someone, and you got admin hounding you about that, so so that could be a challenge, you know. But that's a good observation.
Also, it's interesting how quick that kid just came out with all the answers. Like nobody had to come up with them for him. He just was like, "Oh yeah, I need to be better."
That is the beauty of it, isn't it? Yeah, that's
don't
the
really
beauty.
get that very often.
Yes, it doesn't always go that neatly.
No.
And so I've had some. In fact, we should probably talk about resistance to coaching or counseling at some point, because I've had a few people come in and they actually want to stay stuck. And any possible solution is something they're not interested in. They won't come up with one themselves. And really what they want is pity from you. They're really looking for self-pity or an excuse for failure. And so there are some people who come in and they won't want to get fixed. They identify a cheap replacement of love is self-pity. If I can get people to feel sorry for me, then I'm going to feel loved. And people try to milk that out of other people and play the victim. And so they'll come in and won't want solutions. Otherwise, they'll have to give up their job of being a victim.
Are they there because they're forced to come because somebody else said they had to be there?
Yeah. Or just to show or pretend that they're doing something, and they might just be lying to themselves.
I think some people legitimately just go because they just want somebody to show them.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen people like that have no reason to reach out to me, come and reach out to me, and kind of like you're saying, everything that every solution or reasonable solution that I've given them was not happening. It was not a good enough response.
Yeah.
So I think some of it is they just want to make themselves feel like they're one of just that order.
Yeah. That is frustrating.
Validate that for them.
Yeah. That's frustrating when you're setting aside time, you're wanting to help people move ahead, you're emotionally investing, and then you realize, wow, they just, you know, and it's one thing to bear one another's burdens. It's another thing to jump into their sorrow with them and have no way forward. What good does that do? There's no wisdom in that. So, we'll jump on to the next one. And this is, hopefully I got the right one. An example of active listening. This is a short one. Kind of a general conversation.
With the couple that I was counseling.
Not having a good day, huh?
Yeah, you know that licensing deal I'm working with, that San Diego company? Was super gung ho about it, thought it was gonna be a good opportunity, but now I'm just not so sure.
This is a business setting.
So you were feeling really excited about it, and now you're having second thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I've done tons of these deals, and sometimes it takes a week, maybe a couple weeks, a month at the most, but this is just ridiculous.
So you're not used to having negotiations drag on?
Yeah, yeah. You know, we were pretty close to signing a deal a couple times, and then they'd ask for another concession, and then we met them more than halfway. Then I get an email this morning, and they want to push back the signing until, I don't know, the end of the year. Kidding me?
Yeah, it sounds like you've given them as much as you can, and now this is just too much to ask.
Yeah. You know, I got a friend who works in the area too, and he said he's surprised that it's taking so long. Plus, he said there's other companies who'd be interested in our product. So,
You got another perspective.
yeah, I think I've just been like too focused in on trying to make this happen, and then I just lost sight of the big picture. So, what I need to do is just get a lot more leads in the area.
Well, it sounds like you're feeling ready to move on.
Yeah, I think I am. Hey, thanks. Thanks for the help.
You're welcome, and keep me posted, okay?
Yeah, will do.
So what do you think the biggest thing that was accomplished there in that business setting?
Well, we made a decision to move on.
Yeah, yeah. And how was their relationship affected?
You walk away with a good view. You see that smile on her face? That, I should
I don't know,
say,
man.
that cocky smirk.
She listened and just kind of.
Oh.
Very thinking, but.
I was
Yeah.
looking for you.
And for what he needed to,
Yeah,
you know.
he already knew,
Oh.
but she helped just put it together.
What's happening?
Just a side conversation. So anyway, yeah, basically, if he wants to sort things out, he's going to her again. Because she didn't jump in with some advice and tell her story. She stuck with his story.
She allowed him to work through his own story, like, he already knew the answer to his question, you know, to what he was talking about. He just needed to process it. So
Yeah.
basically what he wanted.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
And I can relate to this, that there's sometimes I share things that are going on and I usually want to vent or just have some understanding or have someone tell me, yeah, that makes sense. You're not a screwball or overreacting. But my head is so overloaded with information that if you try to dump unasked for information, sometimes I can get a little ornery. I won't show it, but it's like, oh yeah, just dump some solutions. I already learned that and forgot it and learned it 6 times, you know? So I don't know everything, but a lot of times people dump some solution after solution without even asking what I needed. And that it wasn't helpful. So
I can remember when I was working with industries, we had some kind of a meeting with a psychiatrist or some higher official anyhow. I was driving the bus, we got down to Cambridgeville and in this building, we're sitting there and talking about how different things I'm working with the people. And this is going along, it's been in 20 minutes, half hour or so. The guy says, well, now, is there any questions or comments anybody wants to make? I says, well, I'm going to get myself in trouble saying this, I imagine. And I says, these people are handicapped and but I says, they're full adults. So what I like to do in working with them is I said, I try to meet their needs safely. And enjoy them that way, but enjoy the younger sort of understandings. And he guys sat there and looked at me for a little while and says, wow. You, in these few words, you just summed everything up of what I've been trying to tell you for the last half hour.
Nice.
So, but I didn't expect to hear his comment like that, you know, but.
Yeah, you're expecting him to get sparky maybe or something.
Yeah, because.
Well, because he had said, I treat them as adults in action, but I treat them like children in reaction
Mm.
type of thing.
Mm.
That was what he had said to that guy, and he was just like, oh. Yeah.
Well, we got one more, at least one more. And this one, I think is, two coaches debriefing, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I think it's two. Now it feels kind of forced, but there's some things to learn from it. At least to me.
So today we're gonna do a quick little active listening demonstration. And I'm going to be an observer, and Susan is going to play the role of coach, and Kumar is gonna play the role of coachee. And what we'd like you to look for, and what I'll be looking for as the observer, is the 5 steps of active listening. So let's see how this works.
So Kamari, what would you like?
So we don't have 5 steps to active listening. We basically have, you know, content and feelings. I put that out there that way. So it's simple. What are they talking about? What are they feeling? And then the coaching is the double funnel. So it's different than the 5 things they're looking at, but there's still some things to learn from them.
Maybe he's talking about.
Yeah, they've got their own model. Yeah, that's all I'm saying.
I have a coaching client, and I want to make sure that I'm being an effective coach in this relationship. I don't know if I'm doing her any good anymore, and I don't know if there's my own self-judgment because I've checked in with her and said, you know, is this serving you? And she says yes, and it's affirmative. She says she gets a lot out of every call, but it's an ongoing relationship that doesn't seem to have an end goal for her, and she prefers not to. And yeah, because I don't want to. I don't want to keep taking her money, you know. I also enjoy, to some extent, the connection that we have. And I don't know if there's me wanting to push her to get an, you know, like to get change in her life, and she's not ready for it. And so I just need to give myself an empathy around that, you know. Or maybe she's not the kind of client that I want to work with. I want to, you know, have maybe more results oriented. So I'm confused, and it's a little bit about it.
Okay, great. So what I heard you say was that you got a client. It's been a client that you've had a relationship with for some time. And you're not really making a lot of progress with this client. You're not sure if she's all that concerned about it. She keeps telling you that everything's okay. But you're feeling like you're just not getting anywhere. And how you're interpreting the situation is that you're wondering whether or not you're really giving her a good service. You know, if you're providing value for her and making a difference. And so you're feeling a bit frustrated, a bit confused, and, you know, just kind of in this, I don't know what to do next. And your commitment is really to make a difference for her. I mean, you really want her to resolve the issue that she's struggling with and help her. Did I get that?
Yes. Yeah. And of course, brought up many other things I want to tell you, but yes. Yeah, thank you.
Right. Great. And so, as part of the debrief here, quickly, Kumar, how did it feel to have that reflected back to you as the coaching?
It felt enlivening. It felt, again, like I said, it kind of got me gush out more of this and this and this and this. So there's a sense of trust. There's a sense of support, and she's with me And it's also helped to illuminate these different areas, okay, separating out what is maybe fact from what is what I'm telling myself, interpreting, and that helps me clarify.
So, any helpful takeaways for you guys on this? One of the things that occurred to me is that she waited till the end to do all the summary stuff. She didn't interrupt her along the way. When I'm coaching, I tend to interrupt along the way just with really short 2-word things. Like, someone's telling me, oh, I had this happen and that happened. My car broke down. My cat scratched me. Wow, you've had a rough day. And then they'll just keep picking it up, but they'll know I'm with them. So I inject a few 2 or 3 word things just along the way. And then I'll stop them after a few minutes and say, okay, so let me just make sure I'm hearing you right. And then I'll summarize it. Here, she seemed to wait and didn't interrupt at all. And then gave it back in one shot. But she had specific things she was looking for to get back. One of them was how the person being coached was interpreting what was happening. What's her mindset? What was she thinking about? Maybe I don't like those kind of clients. Maybe I need some clients that are more goal setting and I'm frustrated. And so she picked up on that and some other things. Any other thoughts on that? All right.
I have to probably take notes on something like that because it's so long, I forget half the stuff that.
Yeah.
Someone.
Well, that's what I was thinking too.
Yeah, if I didn't cut them off, like periodically, I would have a hard time.
Well, that's a challenge. That's why I make sure I give a word or two, because then once I say it, then it's more locked into my mind, and I can actually stack up all the things I've summarized easier if I say a few words here and there. It keeps me engaged. One last video. This is definitely lots of video in this class. This one was a little grating on my nerves, but there was actually some good stuff that came out of it. So I probably judged a little too quickly. But let me get back to the Zoom and the share.
Bring the volume down.
Okay.
Many of us do it poorly, and if we can learn to do it better, it can produce dramatic improvements in our lives. In this video, I'm going to teach you 5 stock phrases I use when I do reflective listening or act.
So this might be something worth writing down, just if you want to. It's an opportunity. I'm going to duck out real quick.
Listening or looping back goes by a bunch of different names, but it's the same basic skill. Hi everybody, I'm Bruce Lambert from HowCommunicationWorks.com, a channel where I teach you communication skills so you can advance in your career, improve your relationships, and be more confident. Listening is one of the great unheralded skills in communication. Most of us think about communication as being about talking, about how we say things, about being articulate, being creative, being thoughtful, being funny, being charismatic, and so on. But I find, especially the last 10 years of my life or so, that the most important skill is listening. But listening does involve actually talking in certain ways. So I want to talk today about one particular listening skill called reflective listening or active listening, or sometimes looping back. And it involves basically repeating what someone has just said in order to confirm that you've understood it, to show that you're paying attention, and to give people an opportunity to elaborate on their feelings. If you remember my previous video on empathic listening, which I'll link to, that video talked about how one way to help people feel comforted and feel better when they're emotionally upset is to give them an opportunity to elaborate on their feelings. And reflective listening gives people an opportunity to do that. It's just an incredibly powerful skill, and I strongly recommend you take some time to use it. I'm going to give you these 5 phrases that I use when I do reflective listening, but first I want to give you a caution. And the caution is that this is a kind of technique. And sometimes we think techniques are gimmicks. or just devices, or sort of mirror techniques. And then when we use them, we're being insincere or inauthentic. And I think that's a real risk. If you use these things without an authentic desire to listen to people and to care about them and to be kind to them and to show concern and empathy to them, if that authentic feeling isn't there inside of you, in terms of your own intention in the interaction, then I think these things can come across as gimmicks, as techniques. And people might even call you on them and say, oh, don't use that BS psychobabble on me. But what I find much more common is when I enter an interaction authentically, with the sincere intention to listen to somebody and to try to help and to try to understand what they're saying, then I can use these phrases that people don't even notice them. They certainly don't notice I'm using any technique. I don't even notice I'm using a technique anymore because I've incorporated this so much into my own personal style. I do worry that some of my friends and family will watch this video and notice that I've been using these phrases with them, and maybe they'll think I've been being inauthentic, but that's not the case. This is just the way I communicate now. So let's go over these phrases, 5 phrases I use when I do reflective listening. Number 1, you are X. So let's imagine the scenario we're talking about is a person who's angry with us because we showed up late for a date or a meeting or an appointment. And so they're angry with us, we start talking to them and they're really angry. And so I just say, you're angry. You're angry with me for showing up to this meeting late. You think that I'm being disrespectful to you by showing up late to this appointment. And you say, you are, and then I insert whatever I'm observing. Notice that these phrases aren't really the key to empathic listening. The key is focusing on what other people are saying, focusing on what other people are feeling, and then we fill in the blank in these phrases. These phrases are just a template to insert your observations. The much more fundamental skill is being observant, paying attention to people's nonverbal behavior and the context, so that we know what they're feeling. But as we're trying to determine what they mean and what they're feeling, we can use these phrases to allow them to elaborate on the feelings. So someone starts to get angry with me, and one of the things I might say is, you're really angry with me. So you are, and then fill in the blank. That's number 1. Number 2, it sounds like, and then ... and you fill in the blank. So I might say, it sounds like you're really upset with me for showing up to this meeting late. It sounds like you think I'm being disrespectful to you for coming to our meeting late. So it sounds like, and then insert your observations. Number 3, it seems like. It's very closely related to the other. I didn't promise you these will all be completely unique, but these are the phrases that I use, and you can alternate them so they don't start to sound like anything. So it seems like, so you observe their behavior and say, it seems like you're really frustrated with me for showing up to this meeting late. It seems like your perception is that I constantly come to these appointments late, and that maybe this shows some disrespect for you, or that I don't get it. So I just say, it seems like, and then I insert my observation. Number 4, what I'm hearing is, and then I insert my observation. What I'm hearing is a lot of anger at me for coming late to our date. What I'm hearing is frustration. What I'm hearing is sadness. So what I'm hearing is, and then insert the observation, and then be quiet and listen to the range of what people are saying. That's actually a key to listening as well. Number 5 in my stock phrases for doing reflective listening. You seem to be saying. You seem to be saying that when I show up late to these dates, that it gets me really angry. Or you seem to be saying that if I'm not always on time, that it reflects disrespect to you and to our meetings. You seem to be saying that my coming late reflects badly on me as a person or on my character. So you seem to be saying, and then insert the observation. So that's it. Those are 5 phrases that I frequently use when I'm trying to listen carefully to people and demonstrate to them that I'm listening to. And when I'm trying to give them an opportunity to elaborate on how they're feeling so that I can understand their feelings, their intentions, their thoughts, their beliefs, and so that I can do a better job listening, so that I can do a better job communicating. So that's it. These are, in my experience, incredibly powerful techniques. They must be used with an authentic intention, or else they might come across as gimmicks. But if you, in all sincerity, with an authentic intention to be kind and helpful, use these phrases, I think you'll find it can transform your relationships and dramatically improve your skills as a listener. If you like this kind of video about communication skills, would you consider subscribing to our channel? And if you do,
Nope. All right, so what are some takeaways for you guys?
Let's give some good suggestions on how to work.
Yeah,
And I think those videos, I mean, he just kind of broke down what was being done in those videos. He just broke down. It showed, like, the videos kind of helped it show that is a good way to go about it, you know, having that open communication with somebody you're trying to coach.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, it's a really helpful process, not very much different from what we're doing. All right, one last thing, and this is the assignment for next week. So let me go back to the meeting. Oops. Okay. So, okay. All right. So the assignment for next week is to take this double funnel model, which is on the ADP site, and draw your own version of it. You know, you could draw the funnel different or whatever it is. But if you can get this to a half sheet of paper, something that you can carry with you when you're talking to people, on the top of it, and you could write listen, content, and feelings. And then under that, double funnel, and draw out the two funnels. And next to it, put a statement that'll help you to remember where you're at in the process. So the first top of the funnel is listening to the person being coached, talking about a wide variety. You might just say wide variety, or you might say looking for a topic to focus on. And then the funnel is one thing we should talk about now, or what, put it in your own words. So draw out the funnel and in your own words, you know, replace what I have here, and it's up on the
So
screen
make
with
our
your
own
own word.
version of the double funnel.
Make your own version. Keep the idea the same, but put it in your own words. And then the same with a SMART goal. Yeah, and you'd have to look at the document. It's a real specific process for this. So I don't think we'll be able to get that right now. But I could catch you up at a different time. Yeah. So, and if you just have on one card or one note card or one half sheet of paper, a glossy thing, the double funnel by itself, that'll help you to work people through things. And maybe on the back side, put SMART goals, or something like that. And then, after next week, I'll have you, this week, talk to one person and see if they would help you with an assignment, and just share an issue. It doesn't have to be real personal or something, but so you can complete this assignment and have them share something that they're trying to work through in their life. So that's not for next week, but for the week after it is, but you're preparing for that. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Bada bing, bada boom. All right. If you have any questions, give me a holler. And do you want me to drop these videos on the ADP, or you pretty much got it?
I think I got the videos.
Okay.
Those are pretty well.
All right, groovy people. Well, let's rapture our biscuits out of here. I've got another meeting. Let me just close in prayer real quick. Father, we thank you for this time, and we thank you, Father, for giving us the grace as you listen to us all the time, as we sometimes rejoice, sometimes bellyache, sometimes complain, but you listen to us as we pray. And we thank you that we have the opportunity to listen to others and reflect, Father God, serving them by listening to their concerns. Give us wisdom as we help other people, and all the fruits of the Spirit, Father, so that we can represent you well as we minister to others in Jesus' name. Amen.
All right, good seeing you all. Have a good rest of the night.
I hope I do.
I'm off and running.